appreciate you sharing about yourself and about the Tribal One. I'm familiar with not all tribal-owned corporation or Alaska Native, but this is the first time I've heard you guys. So.
Okay. Well, good. It's good to be heard of.
So if I have some great companies that may be a good match to be either teaming partners or subs to you guys, are you the person that I can connect with, or is it somebody else?
Yes. No. Yes. You can connect with me, and then we can work through that. And depending on where it's at, we have offices in Oregon, Colorado, South Carolina, and Maryland. So depending on where this opportunity may be, then we can distribute from there. But I absolutely can be your point man on that.
All right, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here. We'll get started in about another 5, 10, about another 8 minutes. So we get about 8 more minutes.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Hey, Tanisha, how are you? You can unmute yourself if you want to. Just want to say hi while we're getting everybody onboarded.
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Wow. Which are you in Atlanta, or which part of the country are you in?
Yes, I'm in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area, in Gwinnett.
Gwinnett? Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Gwinnett.
Oh, really? I'm in Lawrenceville. Not too, like right by
neighbors.
Lilburn. Yes.
I live in Lilburn.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so when I go out my neighborhood, I'm basically in Lilburn, like right there by that Walmart off of what's that, Lawrenceville Highway?
Yeah. That's like half a block.
Exactly.
Yeah. What a small world. We're practically
right. Yeah.
So tell me
what's
about
your name? Oh, okay. I was saying, what's your name?
I'm Abraham. I'll be your instructor for tonight. So.
Abraham. Okay, my name's Tanisha, and yes, so my business is Pretty Resumes, and it is a resume service. We specialize in resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles. We offer career coaching, mock interviews, job application services, and things of that nature. And then we also have some ghostwriting services as well, like recommendation letters. Not really like book ghostwriting, but ghostwriting for other like professional writing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super. So are you mainly working with young adults, or are you working with corporations? Supporting their professionals?
Mostly job seekers that are like in the middle to end of their careers, I would say, and some that are just beginning. So I would say the age range is probably from 20 to like 50 or something like that. I haven't really worked with too many like college students or anybody younger than college students. So most are older, mid to older adults.
Mm-hmm. Then how do you see what you do fitting into the government market, or you're looking to expand into other services in the government market?
I would be willing to expand, but something I've thought about doing is like offering workshops. So, and I'm also thinking about maybe offering outplacement services, for jobs that are having to let go their employees. So I don't know how that would fit exactly, and that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. But definitely workshops at schools is something that I want to get into. So I don't even know if that would exist, in the government sector, but I'm curious myself.
Mm-hmm. So share that again. How are you gonna, what are you exploring to? Let me make sure I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so I was saying that like workshops. So if I could go by schools, so high schools, middle schools, colleges, and offer like resume building workshops, or interview like workshops where I can offer interview tips and any kind of like career advancement like tips and services. That would be nice. I don't know if that's something that the government would be interested in. And the other thing I was thinking of is outplacement services. So if you're not familiar with outplacement, it's basically like when a company is letting go their employees, a lot of times they may hire an outplacement service that would work one-on-one with those employees that are being let go to help them develop their resume, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
help them transition into a new job, and things like that. So that's something I would be willing to start offering if, you know, if that's something that the government would be interested
Mm-hmm.
in, or if that's something I could win government contracts for. I don't know. I'm kind of new to it, so I don't know how my services, you know, would benefit the
Okay.
government.
All right. Well, I'm gonna, part of tonight, there's a section where I'm gonna talk about how to reposition yourself in the government market, and we're talking about, being a specialist and versus a generalist. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So yeah, we'll address that. From what
Okay.
you're doing, I think there's opportunities. Training is a huge opportunity. Between the federal, state, and local government, they have 20 million employees,
Mhm.
over 20 million employees. So they all need some type of executive training, professional training,
Mhm.
moving into new, from one role to another, cultural sensitivity, racial sensitivity, gender sensitivity,
Yeah.
all kinds of different things like that outside of, now there are some, 20 million employees, they do layoffs just like everybody else. And so there's
Right.
opportunities there, but given where you're at, the easiest transition is to get into administrative management. That's a multi-billion dollar marketplace.
Okay.
Doesn't
You say
require
administrative management?
administrative management, yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't require a lot of additional shift that you have to do. In fact, since we got your screen
Okay.
here, I'll do a quick show to you while we're just chit-chatting, waiting for everybody to come. So you get some bonus training here tonight.
Yes, I'll take it. Thank you.
All right, let me hide my camera because I don't want to look at myself.
You look fine.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna tell my wife that someone said I look fine.
Right, exactly. Make her just a little jealous.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I'm here. I'm gonna put in here. The administrative management is 541611.
Okay.
So that's this next code here.
Okay.
541611. There's not. Okay, so yep. So let's search that.
Okay.
So 2021, $6 billion.
Mhm. Oh wow. Okay.
So there's money in that. And administrative management is anything from, um, let's assume government has a office, and
Mhm.
they need a someone to go in there and do certain type of administrative work so that they don't have, like for example, right, the CDC is highly technical, with a
Mhm.
lot of specialists, epidemiology, lots of different researcher, but then there's
Right.
certain general administrative work that they, don't necessarily want to staff those positions. They'd rather just have a company come in and manage those people. So
Right.
that's one area. Or program management, lots of different program management around that as well. And so, and then training, there's lots of different training opportunities out there for you. There's actually a
Mhm.
company that I work with that, they shifted from, being a small training company to a multi-million dollar corporation doing training, from HR training to,
Mhm.
um, anything around compliance, Excel training, how to use a computer, all these different things.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for chatting with me, Tanisha. It is time, so
Oh.
we'll go ahead and get this show started here.
Okay. Thank you for that. I took good notes. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just reach out to me. We can talk some more. There's lots of other things to talk through. So,
Okay. Thank you.
why is my screen blinking? All right. Well, it is time. So make sure the recording. The Government Contract Association, or GCA, is a national trade association comprised of commercial contractors, small and large companies, and government agencies, federal agencies, state agencies, local agencies, government staff, universities, nonprofits, and many other entities out there. Their vision is to create access to help small businesses to get into the government market, to open doors for commercial companies into the government marketplace, and to support government agencies in accessing more qualified contractors. Their mission is to educate, facilitate, and advocate for their members based on becoming the premier government contract association with their 3 pillars. Learn more about the Government Contractor Association at govassociation.org, govassociation.org, govassociation.org. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to a webinar for tonight. We're going to be talking about your business is certified, now what? So that's the topic we're going to cover tonight. We're going to run about an hour and a half. Lots and lots of information we're going to cover. You'll get a lot more than what you bargained for. So I promise you, you're going to get so much value. You're going to feel like, man, Abe, you give me too much to consider. I feel overwhelmed. I promise you're going to get a lot of great content tonight. And so stay with us all the way to the end. Tonight's session is being recorded. We will send out a copy of the PowerPoint if you want a copy of it at the end. Everybody who registered, so feel free to take notes, but all those that registered, we'll send you a copy of the replay as well as the PowerPoint so that you can kind of review that at your own leisure as well. So we talked about, I got a chance to talk to a few other people right before we got started here, so I appreciate Tyson and Tanisha chit-chatting with me while we're waiting for everybody to get on here. But, you know, and I kind of got a chance a little bit of where they are in their journey as a company and so forth. But, yeah, the question is this here, like, where are you in the government marketplace? And the government, you know, some of you may be new in the government marketplace. Some of you maybe have been around for a long time. But my comment to you is this here. If you are new in the government marketplace, I want to let you know that it's possible to do government contracting. And if you've been around for a little bit and you haven't been super successful, or you failed, outright failed, I want to let you know it's not your fault. The government is rigged. It's rigged for super large companies, and small business just don't have enough, you know, knowledge or enough experience or enough past performance or many, many different reasons why small business failed. But it's possible, and I want to let you know it's not your fault. And we're going to talk about how to overcome some of those things and avoiding mistakes. If you're concerned whether you can succeed, put those fears to rest, because tonight we're going to share some, not only just some great practical knowledge, but we're going to give some specific practical tips on what to do. And then now that your business is certified, you're thinking, okay, what do I do next? And some of you, you want to get your business certified, or you're in the process of getting your business certified. And so we're going to talk about what to do next once your business is certified. And many of you who are certified, we're going to talk about a lot of advanced techniques tonight as well. So you guys ready to get started? All right, so a few things here. There's going to be a little chat area, question area. Along the way, if you put in any questions you have, put it in there. We will monitor that if it's relevant to the topic. If it's completely off topic, we may not cover it at the moment. But you know, just any question you have, just put in there. I do have an assistant who is monitoring the questions area so that we can kind of make sure that questions that you have are covered, and we'll answer all of them by the end of today's webinar. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover tonight. You know, this is where you're going to learn how to escape common mistakes that happens, you know, to entrepreneurs in the government space. How to quickly build past performance. You know, when you're a small business and you just got certified, you're trying to bid on a project. You're thinking like, I don't have past performance. It requires 3 past performance, and I don't have it. And so we're going to talk about how to quickly build that, and then we're going to talk about how to take your business to the next level. How to avoid a lengthy procurement process, and then how to win your first contract without the hassle of writing a complex proposal. Now you still have to do some writing. The keyword is complex, right? So I'm going to show you some ways of how you can win contract without having to worry about the complex proposal writing process. Ultimately, you do need to learn how to write proposals or bring in someone who can write proposals for you. In addition, we're going to cover some secret techniques in here, how to use a no competition or direct award method to avoid competing with multiple offers. Secret number 2, how to use a no competition or a co-opetition or teaming to get started quickly. This will allow you to get government work without having to write complex proposals. This is one of the techniques and secrets here. Secret number 3, how to use an eBay-like website, rarely utilized by small businesses and almost never by large companies to bid on projects. In addition, we'll cover secret number 4, how to use unsolicited proposals to get your foot in the door. And then number 5 is how to use broad agency announcement to obtain sole source contracts. And then secret number 6, how to use grants for your for-profit company. And then number 7 is how to use OTAs to land you a up to $50 million sole source contract, direct award to your company without competition. So lots of different techniques we're going to be covering tonight. And there's only so much I can cover in 90 minutes. So I want to encourage you to stay to the end. I promise to give you everything I can in 90 minutes. And at the end, I will show you how you can get more help if you need more help. And they also have a bonus surprise for all those of you that stay to the end. And outside of the bonus surprise, I want to give you guys a proposal that won a $20 billion project. And so I'm going to show you how to get that at the end. And you get it. It'll be a Word doc. It'll be not the whole proposal itself, but a good piece of the proposal so you can use it as a guide to help you write proposals. And hopefully one day some of you can win a $20 billion winning proposal also. So a little about myself. My name is Abraham Xiong. I am the co-founder of the Government Contractors Association. But I'm like most of you, I'm an entrepreneur. Started my first business when I was about 19, 20 years old. It was a baseball card comic book shop. I immigrated here as a refugee, escaping the country of Laos when the communists took over the country. We allied ourselves with the United States, and so when the U.S. pulled out the Vietnam War, I was about 6 years old. We had to flee the country, and I remember fleeing the country. We travel, we hide in the jungle, travel by night, avoiding campfires. We finally got to the Mekong River, and the Mekong River is kind of like the Mississippi River. And we had to cross, but you know, my parents had 7 little kids, from a newborn to a 12-year-old. We had to find a way. We can't swim across, so there was a family with a little boat along the river, and we took a chance. We asked them. We said, "Hey, can you help us to get to the other side?" And they could have turned us to the soldiers. We would be re-education camp, or we may have died. But we need to take some risk so that we can get to the other side. And fortunately for us, the family along the river said, "Hey, we'll help you to get to the other side." They had a smaller boat with a motor on it, and they took us to Thailand. And from Thailand, we got to the United States. So America is my adoptive home. I love it here. There is no other place in the world I'd rather be. It is a land of opportunities. So from a young age, I became an entrepreneur. And I share that story because the government market is like a foreign land, right? Laos was on one side was death, destruction, challenges, and so forth. On the other side was opportunity, new future. Well, going from the commercial market to the government world, commercial market may not be death, right? But you know, death or challenges in terms of it's a recession, challenges in terms of there's economic challenges and so forth. And so you gotta look for other opportunities, and the government market is one of the greatest equalizer in terms of a place where you can expand your business into. It's a land of opportunities, but in that you have to cross a certain gap. For me, it was the river. In the government, there was a divide. There's a language divide. There is a cultural divide. There's lots and lots of different things that you have to overcome to be able to be successful in the government market. We're going to talk about a lot of those things tonight. And so get your mindset ready, because there is a big shift. So for myself, as an entrepreneur, I've sold 2 companies, started multiple companies. I decided eventually to become a small business advocate, founded the Government Contract Association. Since then, we've helped businesses win over $1 billion in government contract. I would say 99.9% of them are small businesses. And then we've trained over 12,000 companies. And for the work that we've done, I was awarded President Obama's Lifetime Achievement Award, the Global Humanitarian Award, as well as a Goodwill Ambassador for the state of Georgia. So that's about me. I'm your instructor for tonight. So the organization, the Government Contract Association, we're a national trade association. Our vision is to create access for small business to get into the government market, access for contracting officers to engage you. So that's really what our vision is all about. And also our mission is to educate, advocate, and facilitate on behalf of the small business community. So you can learn more about our organization here. And then just a quick disclaimer and little notification. I'm going to cover a lot of examples and talk about different people that have been successful in the government market. All of this here is for illustration purpose only. I'm not an attorney. We're going to talk about things that may lean towards, professional advice or something like that. It's just everything we cover is just to give you examples and exposure into what the government market is like. The government market is not a get rich quick. It's not a work from home type of business. You have to build a real company to be successful in the government market. So with that said, let's time to go ahead and get focused. So you worked hard, get your business here. What's next? Right? That's what you're thinking. Now, if you stay focused with me for the next hour and a half, I promise you, you're gonna get a lot of good value out of this here. And if for any reason you said you didn't get any value, hey, you know what, Tanisha, you're in my backyard. Let me know. I'll have my wife take you out to lunch so that you can get your values worth. All right. So, but it starts with the right mindset, right? Your success depends on your mindset, and the right mindset has to be, okay, I've got to invest in myself for the long term. It's not a get rich quick. On average, in the government space, it takes 3 years for a business to build the infrastructure. The processes, the methodologies that we teach here at the Government Contractor Association is to reduce that 3 years to 6 to 12 months. So we take 3 years information, shrink it down to a very short period of time so that you can start being successful very quickly instead of getting lost along the way. And most companies quit. Only 0.5% businesses are actively winning government contracts. So millions and millions of businesses, very few are successful. And all of you who's here, I love that you're brave, you're courageous, and you say, hey, I want to tackle this war called government contracting. So part of it is you got to learn new things. And the government's different. We're talking about how different they are. And then you got to commit your time. And to learn anything, goes back to the 10,000 hours rule, right? The closer you are to 10,000 hours of in that market, niche, industry, whatever you do, if you put 10,000 hours into it, you become an expert. So, and then you got to commit resources as well. There's going to be, along the way, you need to make a trip to meet a contracting officer. You need to go to a matchmaking event. So there's a commitment to this process. I want to start off by sharing a little about Barbara. Barbara's one of the first companies I work with. I love her. She is like retired from the school system. And she said, Abe, I've always wanted to start a business. I said, well, Barbara, what type of business? She said, well, she wants to do tutoring. So she said, Abe, I've had this dream that when I retire, I want to help people to get good grades. I want to help people to get a better future. And she wants to take all of her years' experiences, but she didn't have a business. So we started from ground zero, helped her to get a business going, set up her website, everything she needed to kind of guide her through the process. And finally, it took her about 13 months. 13 months to get to her first contract, which is $25,000. It was with the school system, but very proud of her. She's retired. She's in her way up there in terms of age, but she's awesome. If someone like Barbara, who's a retiree, can do government contracting, all of you, you can do it as well. So this next section, we're going to talk about the opportunities in the government market. What is the government market like? How big is it? How big is the budget? How much do they spend? Why, what do they buy? What type of things do they buy, and why you should sell to the government market? And then a little about the confusion between grants and contracts. And then lastly, the government is looking for small businesses. And but this is the government market to most of you. It is organized chaos. So let me know if you can see the red bars. Tell me in the question area, how many red bars do you see, or in the chat area? How many red bars do you see? Anybody? How many red bars? To most of us, this, if you see this here, you're like, oh man, this is chaos. But to someone who understands the processes, the methodology, there is a blueprint to decipher all this here, and this is a process that you can understand. Is not chaos. Once you understand, it's not chaos. So there's actually 2 red balls in there. So did anybody get it right? I'm gonna have my assistant tell me, but we're gonna continue while my assistant is looking at it. So how big is the government market? There's 85,000 agencies out there, closer to 90,000 if you count other like really micro, unincorporated, different districts and so forth like that. But 85,000 government agencies out there, 1 federal, 24 super federal, 330 sub agencies, and plus a whole bunch of sub agencies out there. 50 states, every single state buys from you as a business owner. There's over 3,000 counties out there. Think about that. Texas has 259 counties. I think Georgia has about 130-ish counties. Texas is #1 in terms of number of county. Every single one of those counties buy from you as a business owner. 35,000 cities and townships out there. They all buy from business owners. 14,000 districts, 31,000 special districts, 640 Native American tribes out there, and 5 U.S. territories, from Guam to the U.S. Marshall Islands to Puerto Rico. All of these are government organizations, and they buy from businesses. It's overwhelming to some degree. So part of our goal is to help you find a starting point. Because if you try to do all 50 states, if you try to do 85,000, you will be registering every single week, and it would take you 85,000 weeks to get registered with 85,000 agencies. So you can't do everything, but we'll help you to find a starting point. So how much do they spend? Lots and lots of money. On average, $600 billion every year in terms of contracts. That is equivalent to $1.6 billion every day, $68 million every single hour. So in the time that we are here together, almost $100 million is being awarded to somebody out there. Unfortunately, it's not your business because you're here to learn with me. But hopefully, in this webinar, you're going to learn that, okay, hey, maybe tomorrow, the next day, it will be your business in terms of winning these contracts here. 1.1 million every single minute, and about 19,000 every single second. Tick, tick. In those 2 seconds, almost $40,000 was awarded to somebody in 2 seconds. So lots of money happening every single day. In terms of industry, they buy almost everything you can imagine. IT, $38 billion, construction, $28 billion, janitorial, cleaning, $19 billion, advertising, PR, $27 billion. There's lots and lots of different niche market. I just kind of gave you guys a quick example here. But to many of you, you're like, okay, do I do grant? Do I do contract? What are they? Are they the same? Is there a difference? So grants is usually for nonprofit organizations. Now, during the pandemic and in some unique situation, some grants are available for-profit organizations. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But grants is usually for nonprofit. So if you're a for-profit, grants is not your main focus. Don't spend time there, unless there's a specific reason. Contract is for-profit organizations. A grant is to support community needs, whereas contract is to support agency needs, agency missions. Now, some agencies support communities, but you're really supporting agencies itself, whereas grants is to support community. So a little bit different shift in focus. Grants last year, 2021, $1.3 trillion was awarded in terms of grants. A lot of it is tied to the pandemic. Contracts, $600 billion was awarded in terms of contracts. You can do both sides of it, different places to find those opportunities, grants.gov or sam.gov. All right, so the government is looking for small businesses. Large businesses dominate this industry. Large, based upon your size, your NAICS code size standard, right? IT is about $30 million or higher. It's considered large, and I'm not being exact here, but like certain construction could be 35 million or larger is considered large. But large company dominate. They win almost all the contract. 80% of contracts are won by large companies. In fact, of the largest 100 government contractors, they win 52% of all the awards out there. So think about that. 100 company win 52% of all the contracts out there. So as a small business, you have to think like, wow, why are they winning? Why am I not winning? So when I first got into the government market in 2008, I fell in love with this industry, and I said, I'm going to study how and what these large companies are doing, so that once I understand and decipher what they're doing to be successful, then I can teach these principles to small businesses. And so a lot of things that we're going to cover tonight, some of them goes back to the principles that I uncover in terms of what large companies are doing to be successful and what you as a business owner can do to be the same. So Lockheed wins, anywhere from 34 to 40 billion, some years $50 billion in government contracts. All of the 8A companies combined in terms of the small businesses in the 8A program, they did $25 billion. So one company did more than 6,200 8A certified companies out there. I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. One company, Lockheed Martin, did more than all of the 8A certified companies out there. Women-owned businesses, they win about $20 billion a year. Lockheed did more than all the women-owned businesses out there. So, and Uncle Sam says, we know that. We want to help small businesses. We want to help you get certified, or they don't necessarily help you get certified, but we have certification programs, and we want you to access these opportunities. And so, but let's talk about mistakes. Because you're like, okay, there's all these programs out there. There's certification program, HubZone, SDVOSB, VOSB, WOSB, EDWSB, all these different certification programs out there. But why am I not winning? Part of it is you think that just because you get certified, money is going to fall out of the sky, right? The contracts will come to you. That's not the case. You're a business owner. You still have to know how to sell yourself. You still have to know how to do your research. You still have to know which agency to work with. Again, there's 85,000 agencies. If you don't know which one, you're going to be scattered all over the place. And then many businesses make the mistake of where they don't invest the time to learn how to speak a new language called Governese. We call it Governese because it's a foreign language to many people. And when I came to US, didn't speak a single word of English. Not a single word. I had to learn. For me to thrive and do anything in this country, I have to learn how to speak the language. So just like many of you, you're transitioning from the commercial world to the government world, you gotta learn how to speak the language. And to learn a language takes time. It's not gonna happen immediately. You have to immerse yourself. So if you want to be a football player, the Super Bowl is coming up, right? It's this coming weekend. Not sure who you're rooting for, but I'm rooting for the Rams because Matthew Stafford went to UGA. So I'm a UGA fan and attended there. So I'm rooting for the Rams. Although I do like Cincinnati, I'm rooting for them because they haven't won a Super Bowl in a long time. So been a long dry spell. But you have to learn how to. If you want to be an NFL player, you have to hang out with NFL players. You have to hang out in the gym, right? You got to be on the field. If you want to be a drunk, you hang out at the bar, right? Hang out at the club, hang out with and so you have to put yourself in the right environment, put yourself with the right people. So that's all part of learning to speak the language. And then some people just fail to understand that the government market is different. There's many differences, and we're going to cover those details in a little bit. And then sometimes you just don't commit and dedicate a team to the government contracting process. We were talking about, I'm helping a company find a large company so they can have a mentor-protege relationship with them. And so the large company, they're really successful in the commercial world. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in the commercial sector. But in the government world, they did $1 million. And it's to a small business, that's a lot. But to a $100 million corporation, if you're successful in the commercial world and you only do $1 million in government work, you just don't know what you're doing. And so they were talking about that when they wake up, we asked them the question, hey, when you wake up in the morning, who checks the database where all the bids are at? They said, what? We don't have anybody checking the bids. And so they just kind of wait for government to, because they're such a big company, they just kind of wait for government to say, hey, can you do this? Well, the government's not going to come knocking on your door, right? So that's why they don't do a lot of work there. You got to have a team. And then another mistake is business just, there's no marketing infrastructure in place. From your CAPE statement to your capability brief, which is your PowerPoint, to your capability video, to your capability website. Your website needs to look a certain way. And then you fail to have a financial plan. And you don't put together, if you're bidding on $1 million contract, you need about $200,000 to cash flow it. So if you don't have a $200,000, you need to have a plan in terms of how do you have a rich uncle? Do you have a line of credit? What do you need to put in place to mobilize on those projects? And then, winging the proposal process, not taking the time to understand how to read an RFP, how to respond to it, and sometimes you just don't have a proposal writer. Other mistakes, a lack of compliance. No DCAA, no cyber, no quality assurance programs, ethics, HR, bonding, insurance, lots of different compliance and things that you need. Some businesses just fail to do those things there. And they fail to understand how teaming works. We're going to cover teaming a lot more in this presentation. And then no mentors to support the small businesses. If you're a small business, and then even for large company, the company that I was talking about earlier, they're very successful in commercial, but they don't have a protege in the government market. So by having protege or subcontractor, it allows the large company to be more successful. And then they just don't bid on projects, right? You can't win if you don't submit. And so on average, most small businesses, it takes 22 proposals to win one contract. That's the average. That's a research done by Grant Thornton, which is a major research organization. They did a research in government contractors. And small businesses win 1 out of 22 proposals. If that's your situation, now I understand why most small businesses quit, right? Because you don't have the time to research thousands of projects, talk about a few hundred, and write 22 proposals. That takes so much time and energy. Now, the large companies, the Lockheed Martin, the SAICs, the General Dynamics, the Northrop Grumman, they win 1 out of 3 proposals that they submit. So think about that. 1 out of 22 versus 1 out of 3. What are they doing right? And these are the principles that we teach at GCA is, okay, who's successful? What are they doing right? Our members that come to classes consistently, they win 1 out of 7. So it greatly improves their odds. 1 out of 7 is a lot better than 1 out of 22 proposals. And the failure to implement the right strategies, such as being a subcontractor, or should you be a prime? And some of you don't know which path to take. All right, so now we're going to shift gears. So how is the government different? We're going to talk about they speak a different language. It's a different culture, and relationship building is different, and different strategies is needed to be successful in here. And competition is the key to success. So we're gonna cover that. So let's start off by they speak a different language. So this is me, my two amazing kids, my wife. My wife is, she's African American, so I call my kids my Blasian babies. And so, but this is our culture clothing. We understand that in this world here, if I want to do business in Japan, I need to learn Japanese. If someone from Thailand is traveling to the U.S., they want to do business here in the U.S., they need to learn how to speak English. It's the same thing. You're going from the commercial sector to the government world, you have to learn how to speak Governese. And nuno me toka ke kai o halu to latambang ku ya itu tune o halu to latambang ku ya to contracting officer ku samonya so to me ya len te jante da shino ya me ya company me I me jante da shino ku monya to me. Can anybody translate that? So I just spoke my language, my native language to you guys. Anybody understand that? Okay. So what I said was, I work for the government. I'm a contracting officer as a small business. If you want to win sole source contract, I'm going to sole source you a contract right now. All you have to do is just raise your hand. I saw someone raise their hand. Angelique. All right. She says it sounds nice. All right. So you have to speak the language. Now let's talk about Game of Thrones. The new series is coming out. I forget the new series name now. But in the love Game of Thrones, it's a made-believe language, but Valerian has 667 words. And there's actually a dictionary that you can translate from English to Valerian and Valerian back to English. And so, show Isa se Galibo. Show me the money, right? That's Valerian. In the show Game of Thrones, the Dothraki, they have 3,163 words for made-up people on the TV show. So if people are that intense about learning a language that doesn't even exist in the real world, how much more for you, right, as an entrepreneur, to learn the language of Governese in the government market? And so that's really, and part of it is acronyms, the FAR, DFARS, regulations, CFR, UCC, all of these different places where it's a whole world. And so now you don't have to read 2,000 pages of the FAR. Now I've been doing government contracting for about 13, 14 years now, and I've only met about 5 or 6 people that have read the whole FAR, all 2,000 pages. I've read much of the FAR, but I don't want to read all the FAR. I just need to know if I want to talk about unsolicited proposal, that it's on FAR 15.6. If I want to talk about small business program for 8A for women owned, it's FAR 19, right? So I just need to know where to go for something. Just like your CPA, right? I think there's about 40,000 pages of the IRS codes. No CPA I've met have read all the codes except maybe Bill Gates. Bill Gates read through, I think he's one of the few people that have read through the codes. That's why he has the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's such an incredible, he found a loophole of how to save money, but that's a whole new conversation. So I don't want to talk about that today. But the Bill and Melinda Gates, incredible foundation. But it's good for philanthropy purposes, but it's also a tax shelter for all his wealth. So in another topic, another time, I'll go through that story there. But learning the language is important. It allows you to be more successful. Next topic, the culture is different, right? The culture in the government world is different. There's the spoken rules and then the unspoken rules. And so the culture has to do with what's necessarily unspoken, what's necessarily not on paper. So you got regulation that's on paper, so that's easy to understand. but within the culture, there's things that you may not understand. And like, take it for example, hospitality, right? In the southern states, for some of you, Tyson, you're from Oregon. For some folks in the South, if you come over, my wife is cooking dinner, you come over. In the South, you eat everything off your plate. That means that she did an awesome job. She was a great hostess. It was the bomb. In the Asian culture, if you go to my mom's house and you eat everything she's cooking and you eat everything off your plate, in the Asian culture is a little bit different. She thinks you're still hungry. So you're her guest and you eat everything off your plate. You're trying to tell her that because we're in the South, you're trying to tell her in that the culture you're familiar with is that everything you eat off the plate, you're telling her that the food was awesome. But to her, it's different. It's interpreted differently. It's interpreted that you're still hungry. So she's thinking like, oh no, my guest is still hungry. I gotta give them some more food. So she's giving you more food, and you're thinking like, I gotta tell her it's done. That she's the bomb. The food was awesome. You're cleaning your plate again. She has to go back to the kitchen, cook more food, bring more food out to you, because the culture is different. So in the government world, it's the same way. So for example, I'm gonna give you a very practical example. If you are a women-owned business, there's certain agencies that tends to work with women-owned businesses. If you are a HubZone certified company, there are certain agencies that tend to work with HubZone certified companies. And there's some agencies, it doesn't matter if you're, you can knock on the door day and night, and if you're, they're not going to touch your HubZone certification. So it depends. You got to understand the culture there. Yes, HubZone is for all agencies, but if you don't understand that culture there, you're not going to get much traction. So for example, CDC. CDC, they have a favorite certification. They like to use the 8A certification. So if you have an SDVOSB and you're knocking on the door of the CDC, you say, hey, look, I'm a veteran-owned business. You're not going to make a lot of traction there. They love the 8A certification because they want to sole source it to 8A. They don't, there's not a lot of small businesses that can do epidemiology, can do different type of researches. So they want to, sole source so they don't have to go through a lot of hassle putting it out. They just want to take the easy path. If you're 8A and you're trying to do business with the VA, not the best certification for the VA, right? Which certification does the VA want to work with? What do you guys guess? VA, what certification do they want to work with? Any thoughts? Put in the chat area. VA, yes. VOSB or SDVOSB, absolutely. Because they have the Vet First program. And so about 27% of a small business in the government and at the VA goes to veteran or SDVOSB companies. So you're trying to lead with your 8A, your women-owned, the VA is not the strongest certification there. So saves you a lot of time, right? That's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, right? If you know the game, you can play to the rules of the game, and the culture is part of it. The culture is an unspoken rule. And if you understand it, then you're going to be more successful. You won't be writing 22 proposals. You'll be writing more like 7, or like the large company, 3 proposals to win it. All right, relationship building is different. In the commercial world, hey, you know what? Take me to Augusta National, and I'm happy, right? But if someone gives you a suite at the Super Bowl this coming weekend, and it's like a $20,000 suite package there. Well, in the commercial world, that's totally fine, right? You come over, visit me. I've got 2 teenagers. You want to bring them a bike. You want to buy them a new car. Totally fine, right? In the commercial world. In the government world, you do that, somebody goes to jail. Anybody know the threshold in terms of gifts in the government sector, at least at the federal level? What's the threshold? What's the maximum amount you can give someone? Now, you can give someone a gift in the government market. That's part of relationship building, right? You gifting is just normal. But there's a threshold. Anybody got it right? 25. Okay, that's a good guess. So 25 is for some state and counties and so forth, but 20 is at the federal level. So $20 or less. And the per gifts. And that person cannot receive from you more than $50 in total aggregate for the year. So per transaction is $20 and then maximum of 50 per year. So if you go visit someone and you say, hey, can I buy you lunch? Yeah, if it's less than 20 bucks, you're fine. If you're meeting with somebody who's in the government, who's a government employees, whether a contracting officer, a program director, anyone like that. So you have to understand that relationship building is different. Now, can you go out to lunch with someone? Yes, you can. They just pay for their own lunch. And so there's different ways of how you go about this here. So you don't get in trouble, they don't get in trouble. If you let's assume it's $100 lunch and you had lunch with the contracting officer, it's $100 and you pay for it. That contracting officer will say, one, you don't understand the regulation, and two, that you are someone that may be prone to bribe in the future, and so they won't do business with you because they don't want to lose their job. That's their livelihood. And so understanding the rules, even though they may not say anything, they will know that either you don't know the rules and that's not good for them because they only want, the government is risk averse, right? They don't want to work with someone who don't know how to speak the language, don't understand how compliance works. So very important. All right, so I was talking to Nisha earlier about having the right strategy in the government market. So in the government market, this is a very important technique here. Of all the things, as I was studying the large company, why they're successful, this is one of the key principles in terms of what they're doing that is different from what small businesses are doing. So let's talk about this here. In the commercial world versus the government world, this triangle is reversed in an upside down way. So in the commercial world, the generalist is at the bottom. The specialist is the next block. The expert is the second tier, and then the celebrity is the very top. So if you are a celebrity, you make the most money. If you're Oprah, you make the most money. If you're Dr. Oz, you make the most money. If you are, whoever you are, if you have a media format, if you're an influencer on social media, those are the people that make the most money, right, in the commercial sector. So practically from a business perspective, what do I mean by that? So let's assume that you are a generalist. Hey, I am a real estate agent. I can be a buyer's agent. I can be a seller's agent. I can do residential. I can do commercial. I can do everything. You're a generalist. In the commercial sector, you're not going to make the most money. So you say, okay, let me specialize. I'm going to be a specialist. I'm going to only represent residential sellers, or maybe just residential buyers. I'm going to be a specialist. I'm going to be a residential real estate agent that only represents buyers. So yeah, you make more money because now you can target your market and you can speak directly to the audience. And then you're expert. You can say, hey, I only represent buyers in Hollywood. I only represent buyers in Buckhead. The $1 million or more, I'm an expert in this area, this community, and you only do 5-6 transactions a year and you make plenty of money because it's $2, $3, $10 million houses that you're working with. So you're expert, you make more. Or you can be like Barbara Cochran, who is on Shark Tank. She said, hey, I'm a real estate celebrity expert and my name just makes me money, right? So that's the commercial world. The celebrities make the most money. In the government sector, celebrity makes the least money. Doesn't matter what your name is, doesn't matter how well you're known, it doesn't matter. In the government world, regulations eliminate a lot of that. It creates an equal playing field. And then if you are expert, okay, maybe like a subject matter expert, right? You're the best plumber in the world and you're expert. yeah, you make more money, but as expert, still you're not gonna make the most money. If you're a specialist, man, I am a specialist and I'm really good at these different things here. But the generalist makes the most money. So what do I mean by being the generalist? So when I started studying Lockheed Martin, let me take out my pen. I'm gonna do a little drawing here. So this is Lockheed Martin. You do it right here. Lockheed Martin is we think of them as aviation, aerospace. So when I first look at Lockheed Martin, I said, why is it they're successful? Lockheed Martin is an aviation company, aerospace company. But then what I realized is that they have an IT arm, and their IT arm is doing $15 billion. How in the world is an aviation company doing $15 billion in IT work? IBM is an IT company. They only do about $1 to $2 billion a year. So how is it that a IT company only do about $2 billion a year, and an aviation company do $15 billion a year? And I wanted to find out, what is Lockheed Martin doing that's right, and why are they doing $15 billion in IT, and why is IBM only doing $2 billion in IT? And non-IT companies do more IT work than IT companies. Then I realized, okay, well, Lockheed, to build airplane, they need logistics. You know, logistics is everything from the manufacturer all the way to the end user. You know, from warehousing to trucking, all of that. Lockheed's in logistics. I realized that, you know, Lockheed is also in asset management. Lockheed is in facilities management. Lockheed is in everything you can imagine. Lockheed has a division or an arm that they do. So I said, okay, that's super powerful. So Lockheed doesn't see themselves as an aerospace company. They don't see themselves as a IT company. They see themselves as a generalist, or what we call a GC, right? GC in the commercial world stands for general contractor. GC in the government world stands for government contractor. So Lockheed sees themselves as a generalist. They're a government contractor, and they solve government problems. So as a business owner, you need to understand that principle. Now, you don't start by being a generalist, right? You don't say, hey, I can do everything, because you're going to look really crazy to a contract officer. So the way you re-engineer this for your small business is this here. You start in the middle. And so I'm going to use Tanisha as an example. She does resume. So this is really niche market. And then you expand to that there, and you do training. So training is the next area out. And then you do training, and then if you're training people, you're already in the people business, so you get to staffing. If you're training people, then you might as well take the staffing and place these people into jobs. So now you're in staffing. If you're staffing, you might as well get into staffing IT, right? You know, you can staff anything. You might as well start staffing IT. If you're staffing IT, you might as well be an IT company itself, because a lot of the government outsource a lot of IT work to staffing company, and you place people. So there's staffing where it's temporary work, but there's staffing where it's long-term people working on government projects, taking over a whole government IT department, running all of the IT infrastructure. So now you can become a IT company. So not just IT staffing, but IT company itself. If you're doing IT, you're already in the building, you might as well get into facilities management. If you're doing facilities management, you might as well get into asset management. If you're managing assets, you might as well go and manage and build airplanes, right? So you reverse engineer. You start where you're at and then work your way around like that. Now, again, don't do all of it at one time. You have to choose one or two key areas that you're really good. Start there, and then expand over 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And then now some people never become an aviation company. I'm just using this as an example. You might go out 2 layers, 3 layers out, and that's fine. That's all you need to do. You don't need to be a Lockheed Martin unless that's your vision. So if that's your vision, go all the way out. But some people don't want to work that hard, and you don't necessarily want to work that hard. You want to work to the comfort level that you say, hey, you know what? It's not all about money. I want to make money. I want to make a difference. I want to use my money to make a difference, and that's it. And so go expand as much as you're comfortable with. But this is one of the most important strategies in terms of how you reposition yourself so that you can be successful in the government market. Let me shift back to my mouse. Okay, so one of the questions, how many NAICS codes should you start with that looks good? So the quick answer to that is you don't want to do IT services and funeral services, because those two don't make sense being together, right? But let's assume if you say, hey, if you are a plumber, doing electrical work makes sense, doing janitorial work makes sense, doing renovation makes sense, doing general contracting makes sense, right? So anything that's within, and so now in terms of just the number of NAICS code, ideally, if you're like a specialist starting off, maybe 6 to 8 NAICS code, 10 NAICS code is fine. If you start to expand a little bit, maybe 15 to 20 NAICS codes. And like some industry have more NAICS code than other industries. Some, there are a few industries that's only like 3 NAICS code, and that's it, as a specialist. So it depends on how, but I would say, at a minimal, there's another class where I teach you how to benchmark after successful companies. And so we actually generally research those companies, and we find out what they're doing, what NAICS code they have. And so that's a whole nother different class. But yeah, niche about 5 to 10-ish. If you're starting to expand to a few other markets, then 15, 20. I wouldn't put more than 30 or 40. I would probably max out about 25-ish, 20 to 25-ish. And then if you see a project that you want to go after, then add it to your SAM profile. So don't just list everything. Once you see that, okay, I see a project and this NAICS code, I don't have it listed, go to your SAM profile. It takes a day or two to update it on SAM, so do it that way. Let's continue. So we talked about this already. Co-opetition. In the government market, it's about co-opetition. Co-opetition is cooperate and competition. You're a competitor, but you're also cooperating. And so to go after bigger, larger projects, you have to cooperate. 70% of projects require 2 or more projects to bid on together. And the 7% projects, are also recompete projects. So the recompete projects require multiple companies, larger companies, in terms of there's all types, government are bundling contracts together so that you as a small business, if you're just waiting for a plumbing project, no, they're going to need someone to do the carpentry work as well to patch it up. They need electrical work along with it. So they bundle contracts. And then there's categorization spending where they say everything that is tied to IT, we put all of it into one master contract and so forth. And that's a whole nother topic. So you got to understand that there's co-opetition that has to happen. And for you as a small business, just means be a subcontractor to a larger company. There's teaming opportunities. Teaming is just where 2 or more companies work together. And there's a whole different class on teaming, how to set up a team agreements, what type of, how to find a great teaming partner. That's a whole separate class. But today, understand that you've got to work with other companies to be successful. And then joint venture is where you form 2 or more companies come together to form a new company. The new company usually is a small company and a large company forms a new joint venture, and they pursue opportunities together. And that's super, super powerful. The joint venture, let's assume you're a brand new company and you don't have any past performance. By forming a joint venture with a large company, all of their past performance becomes your past performance instantly, just like that. The moment that joint venture is formed, you immediately have all of the past performance. And and then there's more to it than that. It's a whole process. I'm actually working with a company going through the whole process right now. And so it's complex, but the principle is that it allows you to have all of the strength, and then they want to work with you because you're a small business and you have certain strength that they don't have. And then usually joint venture is also usually tied to a mentor protege. There's different type of joint venture that does not need a mentor protege, but for federal contracting purposes, if it's a large company, you do need to set up a mentor protege so that the joint venture is not considered a large company. So if you as a small business form a joint venture with a large company, and you don't have a mentor protege agreement in place, they will treat that company as a large company. So there's no value to the large company. So you do want to do MPA. All right, so the government contracting has 10-step process from a high level. I'm talking about thousands of steps, but I'm just simplifying it into 10 steps here. So this is what a contracting officer or agency, what they go through. Not you, but this is from their perspective. First, they have a need. We have a problem. We need something. And then they have to create a budget. And within that budget, they may have to go through appropriation. They may have to get Congress to step in to give them funding. Or if they have discretionary funding already, then they create a budget of how they're going to fulfill that need there. Then they have to forecast when they're going to spend that money. Then they have to do a market survey. It's done through a sources sought or sometimes RFI. And so they have to put that out. The mistake that most businesses make is that they don't pay attention to step 1, 2, 3, and 4. They wait until step 5 where it becomes RFP, RFQ, or invitation for bid, the solicitation phase. And you say, oh, I'm going to wait until it comes out so I can write a proposal. But the way you win a sole source contract is it happens at step 1 through 4. If you're trying to get a sole source contract and you're waiting to step 5 where it comes out on SAM.gov or some other databases, it's too late. It's already pre-baked for somebody else. And so you want to get involved the sooner you can. Like at the need, if you help identify a need, a pain point that government agencies have, and maybe they didn't know they have a pain point there, but they have a pain point, they don't know there's a solution, and you address that need there, they're going to get the budget. They're going to create a market survey where you are the only qualified company, or they will just sole source it to you and not necessarily even do a market survey. So 1 through 4 is how you win contracts, the easy way. 5 is where you're competing against everybody else, not the best way. Then step 6 is the proposal, right? You submit a proposal, they review it. So they have a source review team that reviews it, they score it, they award the contract, and then they manage the delivery of the product and service, and then they make sure that the work is being done in compliance, and then they have to go through the closeout process. So they go through 10 steps to engage you as a business owner. So let's talk about relationships. And there's 6 key types of relationship: how to find contracting officer, networking events to attend, a few of those different things there. So first thing is this here. There are 6 types of relationships that you need. You're the vendor, you're in the middle. As the vendor in the middle here, you need the green circles, relationships with government, the government side of things. So you need a relationship with end users, the agency itself. You need a relationship with contracting officers, this bottom, on your, I guess, this bottom left corner here. And then your relationship with small business advocates or small business specialists, this bottom right circle here. You need these 3 types of relationships to be successful. If you're thinking like, why am I not, making any traction? It's because you don't understand how these relationships intertwine. So the end user is the one that have the need, but they don't have the power to buy. They have to go to a contracting officer. Contracting officer does not have a need. They just need to process paperwork so the end user or the agency can get someone to do the work. They have the power, they have the authority to bind you as a business owner to the government for a contractual relationship to deliver product or service. They don't have the need, the agency has a need. So you gotta understand how these relationships work. But then the small business advocates or the OSTBU, the SABU, the OSDB, all of these different folks here, they have the influence. So if you're trying to break into this agency, you got to find out who the OSTBU is. You got to find out who the small business specialist is, because they have influence. If they're seeing that this agency has not met their women set aside goals, this small business specialist can influence the contractors to say, hey, in fact, they work inside the same agency most of the time. So they're in their role is to help agencies meet their small business set aside goals. So they can say, hey, you haven't met these women set aside goal. Would you consider setting this aside for a women competition project? So they have, or they can say, hey, would you consider sole source to this company? Because this company is great. They've done other projects for our agency. You need that. They can supply that there. Then you need a relationship with these blue circles here. You're a small business. You need a relationship with other small businesses. Again, you don't want to be a specialist, right? You want to be a generalist. So the way you expand outside your niche market is network with other small businesses. You may have an 8A, you need a women-owned business. You may have a hub zone, you need a SDVOSB certification to partner with. Or niche market, right? You're a plumber, you need an electrical contractor to be your partner, and so forth. You need a relationship with other large primes. Large primes are a great source. Large companies are required to have a small business program. They're required by regulation to sub out generally 35% to small businesses. So naturally, it's a great way to do some government contracting work, is by working with a large prime. And then you also need to have your capture team or your government contracting department. Your capture team is made up of a proposal writer, cost estimator, relationship manager, a CPA, legal team, all kinds of different people. So these are the 6 types of relationship. And we have a class that talks about networking, relationship building, that goes into an hour and a half of this training, more detail. But I want to give you a quick overview that these are the relationships you need to be successful in the government market. And if you have not been successful, it's because maybe you haven't focused on, you only have one type of relationship, maybe 2 types of relationships, but you need all 6 to be successful. So how do you find contracting officers? So there's different ways of how you find contracting officers, right? There's the direct way through SAM, GovGenie, or there's indirect way through these other resources here. So I'm going to take a quick dive here and go into a quick example here. So you go to sam.gov, right? You say, okay, how to find contracting officer. So, all right, I need a volunteer. Tell me your primary NAICS code. And we're going to use that as an example here. Type it in the chat area. Primary NAICS code. Anybody? All right, I need a primary NAICS code. Y'all still with me? Okay, so 484210. So I'm just gonna paste it here. Now you can do advanced search, but because of time, I'm just gonna quickly paste it there. And usually it will pull up all the project with that NAICS code here. So there's 84 project that has that number in there somewhere. And usually it's tied to the NAICS code. So moving services in Kuwait, furniture removal, moving services. So I assume you're a moving company, whoever posted this here. So let's assume that this is my primary NAICS code, and I want to build a relationship with someone, a contracting officer, and I don't know who, I don't know anybody. So the easiest way is just do that. You see this project here, let's assume VA is one of my target agency. So I'm going to click on this link here. And if I'm building my list of contracting officer, at the very end of this project here, Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Aaron Rodgers retired from Green Bay Packers. He is a contracting officer now. Just joking, folks. It's a different Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't make it to Super Bowl. You get fired and you have to go take on a different type of job. So Aaron Rodgers, he's a contracting officer. He's the primary point of contact. He works for the Great Lakes Acquisition Center in Milwaukee. So if you start to aggregate this type of information, and so this is one way to do it. This is there is a different way of how to do it, but it's a little bit harder. This is the easy way. This is the free way to do it. So now you have this extension, and this is a source of thought. If Aaron Rodgers consistently awards contracts in your niche market, then that's a person you want to build a relationship with. And it may not even be this project. So when you see this project, you say, well, it's in Wisconsin, and I'm not quite want to do work in Wisconsin. Well, you may, it may still be good because Aaron Rodgers knows other contracting officers that does moving. So you may use this as a starting point to get to some other contracting officers, or you might say, hey, you know what? If I build a relationship with Aaron Rodgers and he's, if the place of performance, right now I don't know, I haven't read to see where the place of performance is, but let's assume it's in Wisconsin also. And so if you want to do work in Wisconsin, but you're based out of North Carolina, then find a teaming partner, build a relationship with Aaron Rodgers, find a teaming partner in Wisconsin that does moving, and then let that person be your sub. You win the contract. The most important thing you can do is learn how to win contract. I assume you know how to move already. So the most important thing you need to do is learn how to win contracts. And this is how you do it. This is one way of terms of finding contract officers. There's multiple other ways. The indirect way is use some of these resources here, right? Indirect ways. Oh, where is that? Oh, it took us to the wrong link. So let me unlink it and then I can link it correctly. Okay. All right. So by click on that link, small business offices. So if I want to do business and I want to do work for the Army, these are all the different small business offices and their websites here. So if I want to do Aberdeen Proving Ground, click on that. It takes me to the website, the small business section of the website for Aberdeen Proving Ground. And so I could come in here and then I learn, right? I go to the OSBP, the Office of Small Business Programs. I learn about the Army and what they do and so forth, how they do it. And so this takes you to that. And then every single site, has a director. So if you come in here, usually there will be something in here that gives you a small business resources. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Let me go to the contact. Okay, so here's an email to this is a general email to Aberdeen Proving Ground phone number here. So let's assume you can't find a real person here. So what you do is you send this email to the general email box. Say, hey, I'm trying to reach out to the small business specialist that handles small business support at Aberdeen Proving Ground, and then they will put you in touch with the real person. But most websites usually, in fact, let's go to another one. Usually there will be a real person that they will list that you can use. So I'm trying to see if I can get to one of them. Doing business contracting, small business contractor database, forecast, campaign leadership, right? That's what I'm looking for, right? Now, this is what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the small business person. And so if you're in real estate, director of real estate, director of resource management, these are the actual end users, most of these here. But you know, the indirect way is to reach out to some of these folks so that I can get to these people here. So this side, you know, you can actually go more direct to. So they have databases, but these are just some, you know, feel free to explore these here. We got lots to cover, so I'm going to continue here. Networking events. So there are lots of different networking events if you're interested in building relationships. Let me go to this one website here. This is one of the main websites, govevents.com. Let me put it down here. Come in here, look for different type of events that's a match for you. You can find it by location. You can look at what's coming up. There's networking event, there's matchmaking events, there's just industry, right? So if you have a certain type of interest in something, budgets, indirect rates, and proposals for government contracts. You know, the AFCEA in Vegas is having a chapter meeting there. So cloud computing, if you're in IT. So lots of different things, you know, find many events here, but there's also lots of other events. Like for example, you can find PTAC events, you can find SBA events here. And so again, I'll let you guys play around with these here in terms of these links here of how to get there. So let's continue with our slides here because we still got some more work to cover. I'm not trying to do that. All right, so let's go. So I told you if you stay to the end, I've got some bonuses for you guys, so stick around. All right, so now we're going to talk about 4 types of solicitations out there. And this is not a proposal class, but I'm going to give you some shortcuts in terms of if you understand this here, it's going to save you so much time when you're looking for opportunities in SAM. So request for quote, request for proposal, IFB, invitation for bid, and sources sought. So in a request for quote, usually it's for $250,000 or less. Not true all the time, but most of the time, right? When you see a request for quote at the federal level, is usually what they call a simplified acquisition procedure, SAP, $250,000 or less. And typically they use SF18, standard form 18, and when you're looking through the project itself, you're going to see a T, and if you see a T, that means it's an RFQ under 25,000, which is the credit card threshold. Or if you see a Q, it's an RFQ under 250,000, which is a SAP. So when you look at the solicitation number, you're going to see a T or a Q, and that tells you automatically. Not, I would say 100% of the time, but most of the time, you see these letters here. It tells you that, hey, if you're a small business and you don't want to bid on a $50 million contract, you see a Q. That's the type of project you want to go after. So a request for proposal. So a request for proposal is a little bit different. They use, you know, SF 1447 often, or SF 33. And so an invitation for bid, this is used for lower dollar, and most of the time is used more at the state and local level. And the sources sought is the RFI, and you know it's the step where we said you can get sole source contract is through this step here. Or sometimes they, you know, sometimes say request for information, but it's the same source sought, request for information, same thing. This is how you win sole source contract by responding to this here. You can actually ask the contract officer, hey, would you consider sole sourcing this project to an 8A company or to a women-owned business? All right, so let's talk about the R, request for proposal. A B or I is a sealed bid. And then a J is reserved. A T is under 25,000, and then a Q is under 250,000. So what does that mean? Every project has a solicitation number. And you're gonna look at the solicitation number, and the order number is 0008. But right next to that is a letter. It's gonna be one of these here. And not every single project goes by this solicitation number or system, but I would say majority of them goes by this system here. So you can quickly identify. So if you see R, that means it's a request for proposal. It's going to be larger size project. So how does that work? So the first 3 digit is a site identifier. That's the first 3 digit. And then the number here in the middle is the year this project was released. And then the letter code here is what type of project it is. Is it 25,000? Is it 250? Is it more than 250,000? And then this is the order number itself. So practically, what does that look like? So let's go back to Sam, right? So this is the project we pulled up earlier. All right, so what number is this here? And what does Q stand for? And what's the size threshold? It's a quote and is less than $250,000. So if you're interested on this project here, the sources sought, and you're an 8A company and you want to see if they would sole source it to an 8A company, this is a potentially good target because it's a sources sought, it's less than $250,000, most likely. We're not 100% sure, but it's a Q. So if the contractor also follows what they've been trained to do, this will meet that requirement there. Yep, good answer, Jessica. All right, so let's look at another project here. So we pulled up a few. And let's look at another one. I'm just gonna randomly choose one here. So this here, household goods shipment. You see the year is 22. R, and what does R mean? It's a request for proposal. And proposals is this thick, whereas a quote is this thick, and a bid is, you know, it could be anything for a bid, but request for proposal. So typically $250,000 or more. So just by knowing this, it saves you a lot of time. If you're a small business, you're not ready to go after the multi-million-dollar contract, you don't need to spend any more time on this project. Or if you see that and it's a good match for you, now you know you need to find a teaming partner for this project here. All right, let's continue. Still got some more things to cover. We're not done yet. You guys learning some stuff here? Should we continue, or are you guys ready to end the day here? You're not going to see a lot of T's. The question is, you know, are there a lot of T's on there? Not a lot of T at the federal level. Again, T is usually state and counties and cities. So, all right, I'm going to continue. So this next part, we're going to talk about best strategies to winning government contracts fast. And so we're going to talk about micro purchases. We're going to talk about subcontracting. We're going to talk about sole sourcing, unsolicited proposal, BAA, SBIR, and OTAs. So first secret technique we're going to talk about is use micro purchases and SAP. Micro purchase is any project under 10,000. SAP is any project under 250,000. This is where you as a business, if you're newer and you just got your certification, that's where you want to start. Don't worry about the $5 million project. You'll get there. I was working with a company, and I said, hey, let's go after smaller projects. And he said, no, Abe, I don't want to eat the crumbs. I want to be on the table with the big boys. And so my role is to help people build their dreams in the government market, right? I help people. I'm a dream builder, and I help people become millionaires in the government, help their business get to $1 million in contracts. And so that's his vision. So I said, okay, that's your vision. I'm going to help you to get there. So we're working, and then about 6 months into it, he said, Abe, I think you're right. I should have started by going after smaller projects and being a subcontractor. And so I said, yeah, I can't say I was right, but I'm here to support you. So he said, if you want to shift, then I can help you shift so that we can get to contract faster. So micro purchases, right? Great starting point. So micro purchases, anything under 10,000. And here's the key here. In a micro purchase, a contracting officer is not needed. So remember the relationship triangles we talked about? The end user, the program manager, the director, the supervisor, the superintendent of that agency, whoever they are, it could be someone that that they don't need to have contracting authority. They just need to be anybody that have a problem, a need. And then if it's less than 10,000, they can buy directly from you. They don't need a contracting officer. If it's more than 10,000, they need a contracting officer to be involved. So now you need the top circle, you need the bottom left circle. You need 2 people involved. So if you only need, if you know that, hey, it's a micro purchase, you only need to focus on 1 relationship. If it's larger than that, you need to focus on 2 relationships. If it's millions and millions of dollars, you need to focus, work with a small business specialist too. So that's part of how the relationship connect back to these opportunities here. And there's more to talk about, but usually my purchase is done through a purchase order. Best way to find micro purchases is through fedbid.com. So let's do a quick dive into fedbid.com. So fedbid.com, when you put in fedbid.com, it's going to take to Unison. So because Unison just bought out Fedbid, so and the website is long, so you see that unison.global product, all this stuff, and so that's why I usually just put fedbid.com. But you can put Unison Global, but they have, if you just go Unison Global, it takes you to a different site. You have to click another step. So fedbid.com will take you in here. Come in here. You must have a SAM profile to register in here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in quickly and show you guys how it looks on the inside. So when you come in, you have to create an account, and then once it's going to connect this profile to your SAM profile. And then once that's done, then you can log in. So right now there's a total of 133 projects in here, and so someone tell me put in the chat here your industry. Tell me your industry. I'm going to look for opportunities for you. So what industry do you want to look at? So okay, so type in the industry itself, or administrative management. Okay, great. So that will probably fall under professional consulting services. That would be my guess, because the way they do it here is a little bit different. So I would look at professional consulting. So there's 5 projects here. Click on that. And embassy, wall upgrade, global employee assistance, resilience plan. Okay, so potentially this is a good project. Book widgets. Not sure what book widgets are. Conduct monthly inspections of fire extinguisher peripherals. So I'm going to look at this global employee assistance. resiliency plan. Not sure what that is, but let's look at it. Again, less than $250,000 on this site. It's extremely rare that there's a project more than $250,000 on this site. So this is mainly micro purchases. It's simplified acquisitions most of the time. So you come in here, you see they did put an Exco in here, but it comes in here and says, please refer to the scope of work on page 5. So you come down here to the bottom, you click on the RP document down here, you go down to page 5 and look at the scope of work. We're looking for global employee assistance resistance plan for approximately 3,100 staff in 36 countries. And you read through that there. So they need 8 counseling sessions. They need, we have employees based all over the world. The counselor needs to have a master's degree. And so training, education, events, webinar, workshop. So this is what you do. You say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna prepare my business to bid on this project. So if you like this here, bidding on this is very easy. You know, make sure you read through everything. And when you're ready, you click start bid. And then you just go through here, answer the questions, and you hit continue, 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 and then you hit submit. And you're done. So it's like eBay, whereas eBay, the highest bidder wins. On this platform, the lowest bidder wins. Now, what we've seen is sometimes there's not that many people bidding on this platform, so sometimes you don't necessarily have to be, you don't have to, you can potentially make more profit. So it just depends on what you're bidding on. One of the companies I was training, and she had no past performance, so she came in here and she found that they were buying a cell phone locker. And so she called up a manufacturer, say, hey, how much is a cell phone locker? Can I set up an account with you? And so she was able to find a manufacturer to sell it to her. She marked it up, put her price on here, and she sold them a cell phone locker. So play around, use this platform. They will be switching over to the UEID instead of DUNS number, but this is one of those sites. So let's continue. We still got more stuff to cover. So the next strategy is be a subcontractor to large primes. And this is important. I mentioned earlier that 70% project requires 2 or more companies. Being a subcontractor allows you to get into the government space. Now, as a subcontractor, do you need to learn how to write proposals? What do you guys think? Do you need to learn how to write proposals? Their answer is no. You do not need to learn how to write proposals. You just need to build trust. And the large company, they know how to write proposals. All they want from you is most of the time is a price. That's it. So we talked about doing something so that you don't have to write a complex proposal. This is one of those techniques. By being a sub, you don't have to worry about writing a proposal. Let them write the proposal. You just give them your price. And this is a great way to get started in the government market. There's different resources. This slide will be available. These are different places where you can go find primes. There's different directories here. There's Subnet. The GSA has a subcontracting directory of large companies. So lots of different resources. Because of time, I can go into them, but use those resources. Another one is go after sole source contract. Direct award to one company, no competition. It's price negotiation. So when you have your certification, right? There's lots of different certifications. Once you have it, then you want to find out where you can do sole source at. So the way you do that is you just Google name of the agency and then the word sole source. So because of time, I can't give you an example, but if you do that, right? So if you put in City of Atlanta sole source, it will take you to either their website or it will take you to the regulation of what the sole source threshold is. And I remember, if I remember correctly, the sole source threshold for the City of Atlanta is $100,000. in terms of sole source, and the director of contracting is the only one that can do a sole source. Whereas at the federal level, any contracting officer that has a warrant, not that, you know, seasoned, right? It's just not any contract officer, but many contract officers have authority to do sole source for 8A up to $4 million. So these are just great resources to look at in terms of additional training, but because of time, I won't be able to go into all of these details here. So strategy number 4 is use unsolicited proposals. Has anybody used an unsolicited proposal before? Oh yeah, some of you guys say it looks easy. So unsolicited proposal is where the government didn't solicit for a proposal. Just means that like a RFP is a solicitation for proposal. In an unsolicited proposal, they have a problem. They may not know if there's a solution. They may not even know they have a problem. And so you have to present a unique approach to solving their problem. Now, for example, if you do, if you have a software that, like you're a reseller of Microsoft 365, that's not unique because anyone can sell them that, right? And that doesn't necessarily solve. So, but if you have a different type of software that is unique, that you're either in the development stages, or if you have a product that just came on the market and you're trying to find a unique way to get to the government market, an unsolicited proposal is the easiest way to get in front of the agency. So it's usually it's 4 pages or less. It's a direct award to one company. If you submit an unsolicited proposal and they accept it, it's a direct award. You don't have to compete for it, and potentially for higher profit. And so the way you read more about this is FAR 15.6. Read that there. This is the link to it. And the government says that they want to encourage this here. Where they don't know that there's an innovative idea out there, they want to encourage this here. So there's different parts in here. The steps, I can't go through the steps because it takes time. So let me go over the parts. So there's the type of work proposed that so you create a little synopsis, abstract, and then your technical approach, and then your unique, innovative idea to them, and then how it helps the agency meet their goals, and then a budget. You got to provide them a budget of what it's going to cost to deliver that solution, and then how it's going to be performed, the work itself. And so you submit this here. This is usually the proposal itself in terms of 7 components: summary, sponsor appeal, problem, solution, capabilities, budget, and closing. Those are 7 components to it. So if you do that, I actually have an unsolicited proposal sample. And if it's not one of my bonus, but if you stay to the end, I'm gonna give you that bonus. So Via, remind me to give everybody who stays to the end the unsolicited proposal sample. Step number 5, or strategy number 5, is BAA, broad agency announcement. Broad agency announcement is usually the government FAR 35.106. They know they have a problem, but they don't know what the solution is. So it's a little bit different from unsolicited proposal. They have a problem, they know they have a problem, they don't know what the answers are. So they will put out a broad agency announcement, and they would just put it out, and they will say, hey, tell us what solution you have. Tell us what you can do. Tell us how to fix this problem. And then usually it's a white paper. A white paper is almost like a proposal. So you submit a white paper to them, and you submit your proposal, your solution, and you submit your pricing and all of that to them, and then they will engage you. And so usually in a broad agency, they usually award 1, maybe 2 or 3 companies, because they may not know if the one solution is going to work. So I've seen it where they award to 2 companies or 3 companies. And the way to find broad agency work is you just go to SAM, and put in the word, in the search, put in BAA or broad agency announcements. And then they will pull up all the different broad agency announcements that's out at that time and look for the one that's in your niche market, and then write a white paper, and they will review it, just like almost like a proposal. They'll review it, and if they like your solution, they will, usually there's a meeting and negotiation. Sometimes there's not, but they will potentially meet with you, or they can just do a direct award if it's clear enough in your white paper to them. Sometimes they will say it's a proposal, but most of the time it's a white paper that you'll submit. But they'll tell you the guidelines of how they want it done. So it won't be just like any type of white paper. They'll tell you, these are the sections we want you to put. These are the things that we want you to have in there. Strategy 6, SBIR, FCTR grants. We talked earlier that grants are for nonprofit. Well, these are the grants that's for profit. So small business innovation research or small business technology transfer. These are two types of grants specifically for businesses. And so let me go and show you how to find these grants here. There's 11 agencies that participate in this here. 2.5 billion is awarded in terms of grants through these programs in terms of every single year. So there's lots of money out there. DoD is one of the largest participator out there. 20% are to minority and women-owned business. 25% receive grants for the first time through this program here. So there's three phases. So this is the key here. There's 3 phases to SBIR grants. The first phase is generally $150,000. Now, some agency is up to $250,000, and in some rare situation, it may be up to $500,000 for phase 1. But most of the time, it's going to be $150,000 to $250,000 for phase 1. So when you do phase 1, then and phase 1 is for research and exploration feasibility study only of whatever idea you want to propose as a solution. Usually, this is designed for new invention, new technology that you want to see if there's a place for it in the government market. And you don't have to have a finished product. Sometimes it's just an idea. And so you apply, you have the government pay for you to develop your idea. But it has to be unique. It has to be something that's not in existence and it's new. So phase 2 is up to $1 million for as many as 2 years, and then and this is to develop the product itself and to evaluate it for potential success. And then phase 3 is to take it to the market. Now, keep in mind that if going through this year, the government may ask for, they're not going to ask for the patents, they're not going to ask for the rights to it, but they may ask that you make it available to them for a year at no cost to that agency that help you do this here. But it just depends. You accept those terms at the very beginning, so you'll know whether you want to agree to those terms or not. But usually, if they help you pay for it, you want to give it to them, and let them use it, right? And then you can sell it to other agencies. You can sell it to state, local agency, and then you can sell it to the commercial market, make money elsewhere. So this is one way to get funding, new ideas, new technology, new software you're developing. Very good place to do this here. So different places, SBIR.gov, cfund.nsf, nsf.gov, and other places as well. OTAs, other transaction agreements, or sometimes they call it other transaction authority. So OTAs is other transaction, meaning that anything tied to OTA is not necessarily under the FAR. So the Federal Acquisition Regulation is the normal procurement process that you have to go through to sell to the government and for the government to buy you. OTA says things that you want to sell to the government that you don't want to go through the FAR. And they treat it as a commercial purchase. They treat it as buying directly from you. You don't need to go through it could be a lengthy process, but you don't necessarily need to compete for anybody else. And through OTA, there's so much more to learn about OTAs, but at least for some of you who's never heard of OTA, I want to open your eyes to it. Generally, OTAs, You don't want to go at it alone because it does require a relationship, does require a few other things. So you want to join a consortium. There's different consortiums for different niche market. Join the consortium and let those consortium be your relationship into the different agency. If you have a unique idea, a unique product that you've developed already. Now, OTAs, you don't necessarily need to have a finished product. You just need to identify a pain point and a solution, and then, but you have to, have close to a working product. But they will help you do the final research. They will help you do, all that ties back to money, similar to SBIR grant, but this is more for like robust solutions and bigger stuff and so forth. All right, so Bonita, tell you a quick story about Bonita. She was working for a military base. She's been trying to get into the government market for a while. She saw me. She said, "Hey, Abe, I want to get to the government market." I said, "Bonita, why don't you come down to Atlanta? Be more than happy to meet with you on a Saturday." So we met. She got started in the government market. Her first contract was to do babysitting. She made $24,500 watching military kids during a conference. So that was her first project. And then her second project, $229,000, working with USDA. And now she's got another project with the USDA, helping women of color start little farms. That's kind of what she's into. So that's what she's doing now. I just talked to her. In fact, she just sent me this magazine. She got featured on it. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but she just got featured on this magazine. She sent it to me. I was just very proud of her, what she's done. And so your next steps. So let's go into your next steps. So you got to build your capture team. As a business owner, to be successful, you can't go at this alone. So you got to build a team. There's two key people. There's many other people you need on your team, but the first key person you need is a capture manager, and the second person you need is a proposal writer. If you're a solopreneur, you need to wear both hats. But that's your next step, right? If you're here, you say, okay, I've learned some great things, but what are my next step? Your next step is build a team around yourself. And there's many other people, but these are the two minimum people or skill set you need to have. Learn it for yourself, or bring somebody else, bring in a business partner, or go hire one of these people to help you. Another part is to build your past performance, right? We talked about when you're going after project, the government's gonna say, okay, do you have 3 references, 3 past performance? For many of you, you're a small business, you don't have that. So how do you build past performance? You build past performance through teaming partnerships with another company. When you enter into a teaming agreement and you submit a teaming proposal, the regulations per the SBA says that as a small business, any teaming partner or subcontractor to your company, their past performance is your past performance. So if you're new and you don't have past performance, then finding another company to work with is how you build past performance. So this is a very important technique here. Now, the good thing is if you do have commercial or private sector past performance, you can use that in the government. They don't care if it's government or commercial past performance. Now, in some rare situations, some agency will say it must be government past performance. So I've seen it a few times, more at the local level. Federal government, that's not true. I would say almost all the time it's not true. But like some school system will say, to do this work, you must have other experience with other school systems. And then you got to join a tribe. There's lots of places. This is the GCA tribe here. So join a tribe, right? Learn new language. Hang out with people that speak this language here. And so GCA is a great place. Use different tools out there. We have different resources to help you. The PTAC is a great place. SBDC, GSA, SBA, they have lots of different places that you can build community. Or some of you say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to get going. I'm going to do it by myself. So if you want to go out there, do it by yourself. You need the right tools. And we have a software called Gov Fast Track. It is the blueprint to government contracting. Because of time, I'm not going to demonstrate it for you. Some of you guys have seen it. This is the most powerful tool. It took me I visited over 20,000 websites to put this together. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people, contracting companies, contracting officers, retirees, different people, to put all of this knowledge into one software. It guides you step by step by step. Powerful tool here. And then some final thoughts for you guys of maybe why your business, if your business is not winning contract, don't give up. It's not if, but when you win a contract. I promise you, you will win a contract if you don't stop. I had a gentleman, in the upcoming CCM cohort, you guys might get a chance to meet him there. He's one of our, I bring him in every now and then to kind of share his experience to people. But so he got started in the government market, and about 6 months into it, he said, you know, hey, man, my other job, they're paying me 6 figures. I'm not quite ready. I don't think, I want to do my own business right now. So he quit along the way. About 3 years later, he comes back. He said, Abe, can you help me get going in the government market? And so if you meet him now, he's going to say that one of his greatest regrets in life is that he stopped along the way. He said, man, had I stuck with this, or I would have been 3 years into this here, I would have been so much further. But I'm glad he came back. And so within 3 months of being in our CCM training program, he was able to get a subcontracting project. I was able to connect him to another company. So now he's doing, doing great out there. So just don't quit, right? And then some companies don't succeed because they just don't take the time to learn. And I'm very encouraged by all of you coming here to learn. So, and then companies don't succeed because they fail to build the right relationship, whether it's with agencies or with teaming partners. You need relationships. And then some people don't win because they just never bid on it. Yes, it's one thing to learn, but put what you learn to practice. I was working with a women-owned business, and at that time she hasn't even got her women's certification yet. And she was working on that. And so we found a few projects. I said, hey, let's just practice. Let's practice how to write a proposal, how to submit it. And we're probably not going to win, but let's practice, right? And so we submitted she does flooring. And so we submitted a bid to Camp Lejeune, I think, Camp Lejeune up in North Carolina. And so she won. It was a $350,000 bid. She won. And so it was awesome, right? Her first one, it was a practice bid, and she won. So if you don't submit, you're not going to win. So if you submit, you have a chance, right? And then you got to invest in yourself. And invest in yourself, invest in your business. There's other tools you'll need, other relations you need, events you got to attend. So do that there. And then there's lots of opportunities, not enough participation, lots of red tape. You don't speak Governese, takes too long. Don't have the right relationship. There's lots of reasons not to do this here. My thought is this here. If what you don't know, learn. If you don't understand the red tape, read the FAR, educate yourself. If you don't understand how to speak Governese, get an interpreter. Learn to speak the language yourself. It takes too long. Get into our CCM coaching program. Don't know where to start. We have the Gov Fast Track software. So lots of different ways of how to get started, right? But if you were to hire a capture manager to help you, capture managers are very expensive. On average, they range anywhere from $153,000 to $159,000 to bring a capture manager to help you in your business. What if I can be your mentor? I can help you through this process here. So right now we're looking for a few entrepreneurs to coach and to guide you through the government contracting process. So my goal, I've helped businesses win over $1 billion in government contract. My goal in these next few years to surpass $2 billion in contract wins, helping you as an entrepreneur to win millions and millions of dollars in terms of your journey here. I want to be part of that journey with you. And can't work with everybody. There's only a handful of us here at the association. It's just impossible for us to work with everybody. But we are looking for a few people to work with. This is Sheena. She came to a class just like this here. She has a janitorial company. Company's called Foresight Industry. And she was in the training program, and she won one project, another project, another project. She won 5 projects in about 3 months. And so the 5th project. She said, Abe, I don't think I'm going to take it because I don't have enough resources to do it. I said, Sheena, you never turn away a project. Let's talk about game plan. Let's find you some subcontractors. Let's find you some money so that you can do that 5th project there. So, but one of the program that we have coming up is we're launching the next cohort of our CCM program with a Certified Capture Manager program. And it's coming up. So to be a CCM professional, it's just being a capture manager. Capture manager is a business development person. And so in this program here, we will help you. We've got a curriculum that is designed. We're actually in the process of finalizing it for the state of Georgia to be included as a professional program in the state of Georgia. But right now, it's a program that we've trained over almost 100 students into this program here. Many of them have graduated. Some of them are, winning millions of government contracts now. Some of them are still trying to get to their first contract. It's a 12-week immersive program. And the goal here is to give you the technical skills and to give you the soft skills to be successful. You need both. Soft skill is the relationship side of it. Technical is the proposal writing, the research side, the pricing side. And so the program will give you both of these here. So the CCM program at the end, you will get, you'll become a certified capture manager. So why? One is to distinguish yourself. When you go through this program, this is the only capture management program like this here in the world. Capture management has been around for a long time. There's a lot of capture managers out there, but they learned it through the school of hard knocks. They just learned it by just doing it. This is a structured process to acclimate you very quickly. We take 3 years of knowledge and put it into 12 weeks. So think about that. 3 years of knowledge in a very short period of time. So part is to distinguish yourself from everybody else out there. Another reason is so that you can win more contracts and also to expand your knowledge, right? If you thought today, you've got a lot of good information today, imagine this is, what, hour and a half, 2 hours. Imagine 12 weeks of this here, every single week going through content like this here. And then it, makes you a professional, adhere to professional standards and gain an edge of your competitors. And potentially, if you're working with somebody else, increase your income. Or if you're your own boss, increase your own income that way. So the average salary for a salesperson is $40,000. Average salary for a capture manager, if you're to hire someone, is $159,000. Our goal is to know that, hey, if that's what it's going to take, we have a better way to help you do this here. So the 12 weeks program, there's mastermind classes every single week, 12 hours, 120 hours of training curriculum, all kinds of different tools you'll receive, Gov Fast Track, the GovLMS, which is a learning management system. You'll receive the Gov University, which is a 12-hour video course. You also get the Gov Training Vault. Many of our classes we put in the Gov Training Vault, get access to that. And you get access to GovGD, the pipeline for team management and proposal management and relationship management. All of these software included in the program. You get the practice test, the Gov Bootcamp. Gov Bootcamp, we sell that for $997 for the bootcamp. That's included in the program. You get the CMBOK, the Capture Management Body of Knowledge, the exam, professional certification at the end, and then connections and networks. And you're going to meet, there usually cohort is anywhere from 6 to 12 companies in there. And so it's a small environment. You'll get a chance to get to know other businesses, build a relationship, team on some projects together. And you get a business coach to guide you through this here, to help you review things. This is just a quick view of the curriculum. But what we look for is someone who has a desire to understand the government market, someone who's willing to learn governance, someone that who wants to understand sales in the government market, right? And if you have a little bit of experience, it makes it easier for you in this process here. And then someone who has the ability to engage C-level, because if you're a business owner, you have to be able to engage C-level executive. If you're not good at it, don't be intimidated. We'll teach you how to engage. In fact, I was working with a lady today to do an email campaign. And so we went through it. The subject line is this: teaming opportunities on upcoming project. That's the subject line. Well, if I see that subject line, I'm probably going to open it. And so we would help you think through that and how to engage, different people. And then, as a capture manager, there's every now and then travel involved, and you control that, so you don't have to travel every single week. You go to networking events, you go to industry days, lots of different things like that. But take your time. You don't have to do it all at one time. And someone who enjoys learning the new market and ability to communicate, do multiple things at one time. These are the things that makes a good capture manager. When you graduate, you get a certificate, and then you also become part of the capture management circle of network. So what are some requirements, right? If you want to change your life, you got to do something different. If you haven't been winning contract, you got to do something different, right? We don't accept everyone to the program. You must have a propensity to be successful, must commit to coming to all 12 sections. In fact, if you miss 2 sessions, you're on the bubble. If you miss 3 sessions, you don't qualify to take the exam. And so you can still sit through the program, but you're going to have to attend the next cohort, that same session, so that you before you qualify. So it's a commitment for 12 weeks. Life happens. You miss 1, no big deal. Miss 2, no big deal. 3 sessions, you have to come to the next cohort. And then you have to commit about 6 to 10 hours a week. 2 hours for the mastermind classes, 2 hours for your study group and your coach, your mentor sessions, and then 3 to 6 hours of homework, depending on what we're working on. So homework means if we're talking about capability statement, we'll give you templates, we'll review it with you. We're talking about revamping your website, we'll give you resources, or we can work with your web developer to clean it up. If we're talking about networking, relationship marketing, we'll help you think through we'll give you homework. Okay, these are the websites we want you to find events to attend for these next coming months. So we walk you through the process in this program here. Now, for some of you, there is an investment, right? And if you're thinking like, man, I don't have the money right now, we do have a scholarship. And so we have the Myra CCA scholarship. The scholarship is for $2,500 scholarship for the CCM program. You must be a small business owner. You must demonstrate financial need. Your business is a small business, less than 100,000 revenue. Be an active GCA pay member, and then just a potential to succeed in the program. And then the form, you can apply it directly here. I'll send you out a copy of today's PowerPoint, so you can use the link right here, or you can take a screen capture of this here. But we'll send out this PowerPoint, so you'll have access to the scholarship form. Space is limited, only a few slots available. Any given time is typically 6 to 12 companies. Beyond that, it becomes not productive. So how do you enroll? There's an investment of $5,000 for the program. We do have payment plans. If you don't qualify for the scholarship, we do have payment plans available. And to enroll is very easy. You just go to capturemanagement.org. You get all the training, all the resources, the coach, the mastermind sessions, all of that designed to help you to be successful in the government market. All right. I apologize, went a little bit over because we covered a lot of content tonight. Even we skimmed through a lot of it too, man. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough time to talk about government contracting. But for those of you that stay to the end, I promise you, I'm going to give you some free gifts. So I'm going to give you our capability statement templates. Just go to this link here. This is one. For those of you that stay to the end, I also said that I was going to give you a sample of an unsolicited proposal. So that's not on this link, but I'm going to include it in the email that we sent out to you. And then also the second bonus is I'm going to give you a copy of a winning proposal, $20 billion winning proposal. I'm going to send this here to you in a Word doc so that you can review it and learn from it, right? There's going to be some verbiage in there that you're going to learn. In fact, I have borrowed some of the verbiage in there for my own proposals and some of the things I teach. I use some of the verbiage from this proposal here as a sample. And this here is priceless. I mean, who's going to give you, you go to proposal writer and say, hey, can you give me a winning proposal as a template for me? That they're not going to do it, right? Just for being here, hanging out with me for 2 hours, you get this here. And don't send us an email. We're gonna send you automatically. And so, all right. So now it's time to take action. So with that, I'm gonna answer some questions, And so if you have any questions about the program, the cohort, it starts February 22nd. It's every Tuesday night, 6 to 8 p.m. for the mastermind sessions, and then your mentor sessions and your coaching sessions. You can set that up separately with your coaches based on your availability, their availability. We do record all the sessions, so if you miss part of it or something like that, you can watch the replay. And if for some event you have your personal reasons and you missed it, there is the replay to watch it. While you're asking your questions, I'm going to share a little bit about Barbara. So Barbara has a janitorial company, very successful in her own rights, but she was mainly successful in local government and state government. And so she came to me and she said, Abe, I got my 8A certification, but I don't know what to do with it. And the clock is ticking on my 8A. I said, okay, well, Barbara, we just need to get you going. And so she enrolled into a training program. And then we got to a point where she said, hey, the CDC said they want to meet with me, and it's a waste management project. She said, I don't do waste management. So waste management is different from janitorial services. That's what she does, right? Janitorial services is where you take the trash, you put new toilet paper on, you clean the bathroom and so forth, right? That's janitorial services. But it's a waste management. She said, I don't do waste management, so I'm not going to go to the meeting. I said, Barbara, it is super rare. In fact, all my years of doing government contracting work, it is extremely rare that agency will reach out to you and say, hey, can you come in for a meeting to see if this type of project you can do? So I said, so how do you overcome things that you're not able to do? She said, oh yeah, teaming partner. So I said, find a teaming partner. So she found a teaming partner. Teaming partner went to the meeting with her. We put together a nice, beautiful PowerPoint presentation addressing the statement of work that they provided us. She went in, she shared what she can do. Teaming partner spoke a little bit about their waste management. Waste management, recycling, right? Computer recycling, paper recycling, cardboard box recycling, other things like that. And so after the meeting, about 3 months later, the CDC reached out back to her and awarded her a $3.7 million project. And so very proud of what she's done. But by learning, put it into practice, different things, and having a team behind you to encourage you, support you through this process, that's how you're gonna get to the bigger projects out there. All right, so with that said, I appreciate everybody coming on. I'm gonna answer any questions that anybody have. So if you wanna stick around, I'm gonna address all the questions that we have. If you don't have any questions, we're gonna send out the PowerPoint presentation to you, the goodies, the bonuses to you. If you're interested in the capture management program, you can go to it right here. And so if you're interested in the capture management program, go to right here, learn more about it. But now I'm gonna answer some questions. So, all right, so question from Tanya, do you have another place where we could find sole source potentials? In terms of sole source potentials, any websites. So there's a lot of different websites out there. So sole sources is done mainly through relationships. So the way you win sole source contract is step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Build a relationship before it becomes an RFP. That's how you win sole source contract. That's an easy answer and the short answer. There's other things you have to consider, but it's done mainly through relationship. That's how you win sole source contract. Find the problems that they have, be a solution. And so, in fact, let me tell you guys another story about a PR firm I'm working with. And so she has a PR firm, right? So as a PR firm, there's some projects out there. So she's trying to get us, she wrote multiple proposals, lots of proposals, didn't win a contract. And so she went to a pre-bidder conference with the USDA, talked to the contracting people that were there. She said, hey, is it okay if I set up a meeting with you to talk about, what other things that you guys have going on? Maybe, I can help you with other areas. This is not necessarily the project for me, but is there other things I can help you with? Can I meet with a small business specialist? So she went out there, met with the USDA. And so she listened. She asked a lot of good questions. And then the person answered some, and then she discovered that they had a pain point. they were trying to do some market outreach to communities of color that didn't always have food and food insecurities. And so they needed to do some marketing campaigns, and she's a PR firm. So that was going to be multi-million-dollar contract, but because she's never done it before, and so she said, hey, can I submit an unsolicited proposal to you on that there? If you have a pain point, let me put together an unsolicited proposal to you, because there is no solicitation for it. Let me put together a unsolicited proposal to you. And she submitted to them. They reviewed it. They say, hey, yeah, we're going to award you this contract, but we're not going to give you the budget you want because you're new in the government market. So they worked with her. So they gave her like $125,000 project, if I remember correctly, $125,000 project to do just the state of Georgia first, USDA in the state of Georgia. And they said, let's make this a pilot project. And when you finish this year, then we will consider doing it nationwide. And now it's going to turn to be a multi-million-dollar contract. So very powerful in that regard. So that's how relationship, finding the pain point, SourceForce is done that way. Charlene asked about mentoring program. The CCM program is $5,000. We do have a scholarship if you meet the requirements as a small business. Is there a way to find out on a local, state level who the contracting officers are? Yes, there are. Every state has a database, just like SAM.gov, and then they have contracting officers there. And also, if you go to most urban cities or counties, they have a small business compliance program. Like City of Atlanta has the AABE certification program. It's managed by the compliance office down there. And so talking to that person will lead, they can tell you who the contracting officers are. But just a quick side note about building relationships. 80% of the things I train is around federal work, not state and local. And the reason for that is this here. If you're going to build a relationship, to create KLT, know, like, and trust, whether it is 3 months or 3 years to build a trusted relationships, that can take time. And if you're trying to get a sole source contract, City of Atlanta sole source contract is $100,000, whereas the federal level 8A sole source contract is $4 million. So do you want to spend energy do a sole source contract for $4 million or $100,000, right? So that's part of the reason why most of the training I do is at the federal level. Now, if you want to do state, I'm here to support you to state also. But there's other ways to find contracting officers. If you shoot me an email and info@govcontractors.org and just say, hey, can you help me further understand how to find contracting officers at the state local level? I can kind of show you. I'll probably either do a quick video recording and send it to you or something like that there. All right, next question. Let's see here. What percentage of awards are generally able to be pocketed? I hear $1 million contract, but it isn't fully clear to me how much actually goes into your pocket. Okay, so you're talking about your profit margin, I assume, Tanisha? So the question is, what's the general percentage in terms of profit margins that is normal, that's not going to look crazy to a contracting officer or to the government, right? So if you're, it depends on the industry. If you are in most industry, 7% is on the low side. So if your net profit, right? After everything is paid for, you pay for your office space, your supervisor, your insurance, your own salary. After everything is paid for, and your net profit is 7%, that's really what the government is comfortable with. But different industry can be different. So for example, if you're in construction, maybe your profit margin might be 10%, but if you're in asbestos removal, higher risk, your profit margin might be 30, 40%. So it just depends. I'm not talking about your gross margin. I'm talking about your net after everything is paid for, your net profit. So it depends on the industry. So the answer is I don't know for your industry, but generally for most competitive industry, janitorial, construction, if it's just general things, 7 to 10% is normal for net profit. It could be as high as 15 and 20. The government doesn't really care because you're bidding on it, right? And if you bid and you won, and you manage it better, your cost, your overhead might be lower, your profit margin might be higher. But generally 7 to 10% is normal. All right, next question. I am a military wife, and I think I can use my military benefits to pay for the class. Would love to speak with someone about applying. Yes, shoot me a email at info@govcontracts.org, and we'll see how we can get that done. In fact, part of the reason why we're getting our program recognized by the state of Georgia is so that government funds can be used to pay for the class. So that's part of the reason. And right now we're in the middle of it right now. But we can talk through it and see which military benefits you're talking about and see how that can be tied to what we're doing. Are there resources available to get certified? If you need certification, we do have a certification service program. If you wanted us to do it, if you want to do it yourself, just tell me which certifications and I'll be more than happy to send you a checklist so that you can do it yourself. Depending on which certifications, there's different resources. So if you just want to do it yourself, I can connect you to the right resources. If you want someone to do it for you, then I would say we do have a service for that there if you want us to do it. But the two certifications that you probably want outside help is the 8A and maybe the Hub Zone. Those are the two hardest certifications. 8A is probably the hardest. If you do it wrong, you're gonna have to sit out a year before you can reapply. And there's a lot of mistakes. Let me give you a quick example about the 8A certification program. When you're applying for the 8A, and if you only have 2 clients, and 1 client represents 70% of your revenue, you're not gonna get to the 8A program. If you have 1 client, which represents 100% of your revenue, you're not gonna get to the 8A program. So there's little things like that. That's not on the 8A application, right? They're not gonna say, hey, do you have 2 clients that one is more than 70%? They're not gonna tell you that. These things you only know, or I only know through experience. So people get denied for that, and they don't know why, because it wasn't on the application. So it may seem unfair, but the 8A has a lot of pitfalls. And so if you do need help, talk to me about it, and we'll talk more about how you can get help with that there. All right, I think, is that all the questions? Let me make sure here. I believe that's all the questions. So I think we've answered every questions. All right, with that said, I appreciate everybody hanging out. And for those of you that really stay on afterwards, I love you, I appreciate you. And we have other classes coming up. As a member of GSA, we have lots of free classes, so keep coming to them. There was a lady named Andrea. In fact, I'll close out with this story here for those of you that stuck with me all the way to the end here. I'm gonna share with you a quick story about Andrea. She's an inspiration of mine. So this is Andrea. She has a, that's Andrea talking right here. So she has a pest control company. As a pest control company, in her earlier days when she got started, right, she didn't have a lot of money. And pest control, this is before they got all these nice cars here. So she came and she said, Abe, I need your help, but I just don't have money for any of your programs. At that time, we didn't have the scholarship program. And she said, I just need help. So I said, hey, just be a member, join at the monthly level, and just come to every class we have. And so I said, come, if you need help, I'm available. And at that time we were still meeting in person. I said, when you come to the event and you need help, stick around afterwards. I'll stick around afterwards to kind of guide you and help you. That's how you get support from me. That's how I can mentor you, right? And so pay the monthly fee, come to all of our events, stay after class and ask me questions, and I can help you that way. So that's what she did. So I remember one of her first big project doing pest control. It was with Fort McPherson. Was it Fort Mac? No, it was with Fort Benning in Columbus, South Georgia. And so she won a pest control contract. And she said, "Hey, I'm so happy I got it." I said, "Okay, great." I said, "So let's look through the details." And so the statement of work that they printed was different from the statement of work of what they want her to do. So like they didn't want to put her on a monthly schedule to go do work. They just say, "You're going to be on call. Whenever we need you, you come." Well, Columbus is like an hour and a half from her. So she has to travel down there, do all this different stuff. I said, hold on. I said, the statement of work is this. After the award, they're telling you something different. That means the scope of work changed. You have what's called a request for equitable adjustment. So REA, request for equitable adjustment. You have the right to request for equitable adjustment. So just go back to them and say, "Hey, this is the statement of work you put in the solicitation. I bid it based upon this. This is the work you want me to do now. It doesn't match up." And so she addressed that with them. She was able to get that contract. Now she's doing state, local, federal work. It's a very proud of what she's done. But for all of you stuck to the end, just keep going. Just don't quit. The opportunities are there. You're one contract away from success, from your dreams, from where you want to go. In Andrea's situation, one contract away from getting a new car, new truck for her company. So with that said, I love y'all. Until next time, take care, everybody.